The Chronicles of the Intergalactic Empire. The rise and fall of the Galactic Federation in the battle for cosmic supremacy. In the vastness of space, beings from all corners of the galaxy gathered in a grand hall. They were representatives of the Intergalactic Empire, and they had gathered to discuss the fate of the galaxy. A powerful force was threatening their existence, a rising threat that had to be stopped at all costs. The Federation, an organization that had ruled the galaxy for centuries, was now under siege from a new power. The Federated Samadhi, a cult of augmented humans, had gained control of several key worlds and were spreading their radical ideology across the stars. The Emperor, the leader of the Intergalactic Empire, was concerned. He had seen empires rise and fall throughout his long life, and he knew that the Federated Samadhi posed a grave threat. He called upon the best and brightest minds of the empire to come up with a plan to defeat the cult and restore order to the galaxy. The Council of the Wise, a group of the most experienced and skilled scientists and thinkers in the empire, sat in the Grand Hall, discussing the threat at hand. They had been analyzing data and trying new technologies to create a weapon that could defeat the Samadhi, but so far, they had been unsuccessful. One of the scientists, a young woman with dark hair and piercing green eyes, stood from her seat. "I have an idea," she said, her voice echoing through the hall. All eyes turned to her, and the Emperor leaned forward in his throne. "Speak," he said. The woman took a deep breath. "We could create a virus that targets the Samadhi's augmented biology. It could be spread throughout their communities, neutralizing their abilities and leaving them vulnerable to attack." The council murmured in agreement. It was a bold plan, but it had potential. The woman continued, "But we must act quickly. The Samadhi are rapidly expanding, and if we don't stop them now, they will soon be unstoppable." The Emperor nodded. "Very well. Begin work on the virus, and we will deploy it as soon as it's ready." The scientists worked tirelessly in their labs, developing the virus that would hopefully defeat the Samadhi. They studied their biology, experimenting with different strains until they found one that would specifically target their enhanced abilities. Finally, after months of work, they had it. The virus was tested on a small group of Samadhi prisoners, and the result was exactly what they had hoped for. Their powers appeared to be neutralized, and they were unable to use any of their augmented abilities. The Emperor gave the order to deploy the virus throughout Samadhi space, and the Empire mobilized its forces for a massive assault on their strongholds. The war was brutal, with both sides suffering heavy losses. But ultimately, the virus proved to be a game-changer, and the Samadhi were defeated. The Empire celebrated its victory, with the Emperor praising the scientists who had developed the virus for saving the galaxy from the destructive ideology of the Samadhi. However, the celebration was short-lived. As the war came to a close, it became clear that the Empire had grown complacent, relying too heavily on its technology to defeat its enemies. A new threat was emerging, one that would ultimately dethrone the mighty Federation and bring about its downfall. The threat came from the Tenebri, a shadowy race of beings that lived deep within the dark reaches of space. They had been watching the Federation, observing its actions and weaknesses. And they saw an opportunity. The Tenebri launched a massive surprise attack, catching the Federation off guard. Their technology was far superior to anything the Federation had seen before, and they quickly gained control of entire worlds. The Federation fought back, but it was clear that they were outmatched. The Tenebri had developed new weapons that could penetrate even the strongest shields and armor. The Emperor knew that it was only a matter of time before the Tenebri would win. He summoned the Council of the Wise and tasked them with developing a weapon that could defeat the Tenebri. The Council worked tirelessly, but their efforts were in vain. The Tenebri seemed unstoppable, and the Federation was being pushed back to its core worlds. The Emperor knew that the end was near. He gathered his loyal advisors and confidants and gave them his final orders. "We can't let the Tenebri win," he said, his voice strong despite his weakness. "We will activate the doomsday device." The doomsday device was a last-ditch effort, a final gambit to destroy the Tenebri, but at the same time, it would mean the end of the Federation. The device would cause a chain reaction, resulting in a massive explosion that would destroy everything within 100 light-years. The Emperor watched from his throne as his empire was consumed by the blast. The galaxy was plunged into darkness, and the age of the Federation came to an abrupt end. In the aftermath of the explosion, new factions rose, and a new balance of power was established. The Tenebri were gone, but the sacrifice of the Federation would never be forgotten. It was a reminder that no empire could last forever and that sometimes, the greatest victories required the greatest sacrifices.